Okay. Hi, my name is Rebecca French.
My name is Josh Littman.
And we're here from We Films reviewing The King's Speech.
I have received
Perhaps he should change jobs.
And what of my husband with a king?
The King's Speech follows the story of King George VI before he was king. Actually, the lead up until he was king. His father is passing away and his brother is about to take the throne. However, his brother chooses to abdicate the throne by being involved in an illicit affair. And now it looks like George is going to be king. But George has one little problem which kind of scares him, and that's that he has a speech impediment, a stammer. So George, played by Colin Firth, meets his speech therapist, played by Geoffrey Rush, and this is pretty much what the film is about. King George has a speech impediment and he needs to make a speech.
My favorite part of this film itself, I found, was Geoffrey Rush. I thought he was absolutely incredible. He really delivered his lines well. He was believable. He brought a really nice comic relief to parts that were fairly serious. And the one thing I liked is that when he did deliver certain emotions or certain phrases or lines to different characters, you really believed it. And so that's something that I thought he did an excellent job at.
I agree, Geoffrey Rush was fantastic in the role. And as well as him was Colin Firth as the king, or soon-to-be king. He really encapsulated that kind of frightened individual who's trying to overcome a personal problem, such as his stutter. And I'm not sure what the actor went through to get this stammer down so perfectly, but I know people who've had a stammer before, and he seems to have captured all the little intricacies of it. And it's definitely deserving of a Best Actor nomination at the Oscars.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I also really liked about this film is that it was really beautifully shot. They really took the time to be able to think of different camera angles or different shots that were able to convey a certain emotion at that time. And for someone who really likes to get involved in the film and not really pay too much attention to how it's filmed, I thought that I really did appreciate it in the end.
And for history buffs out there, this kind of is a period piece. It takes place in the 1930s. Kind of the lead up to World War II, and from what I can tell, it was fairly historically accurate, at least all the external things going on. But I did like that it really focused on something as specific as a speech impediment, and that also brought about much of the film's humor as well.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was a really big pro of the film.
I thought one of the cons of the film for me personally was that after seeing the preview, I really expected it to be more emotionally driven. I thought to be more invested in terms of the character's outcome. And so by the time that the actual movie took place and I watched the full thing, I was a little disappointed because I felt like I wasn't as emotionally invested as I expected that I would be by the time I finished.
Personally, I didn't really have a problem with the emotional investment. I did feel rather attached to the characters at times. I think the actors did that for me. What I did have an issue with was the lack of forward momentum in the film. The issue or the problem in the film was introduced very early on, the speech impediment, and then the therapist, Geoffrey Rush, came in and to help him deal with it. And this was pretty much the one and only issue throughout the entire film that was recycled over and over again. And then that's the problem, that when it comes up to this climax at the end of the film, you're wondering what's new, what's bigger, what's going to happen, and it's just, well, it's a speech impediment. It's the same thing it's been the entire time. So I think that was my one big issue with the film.
I completely agree. I felt that the one thing this film was missing was a significant climax. They did have obviously an important scene at the end, but in terms of actually being on the edge of my seat, really wanting to know what would happen next, I felt it just kind of went through the motions of telling a story rather than actually getting the people in the audience to really get into what was being told. I think overall I would rate this film an 8 out of 10. I thought it was fairly strong, the actors were fantastic, the way it was shot was beautifully done. I thought that, like I said, the actual climax itself could have pushed it into a higher rating, but overall I thought this was a really well done film and I would definitely recommend it.
I would also give this film an 8 out of 10. I thought it was excellent. It was really an actor's film in my opinion. Geoffrey Rush and Colin Firth carried this film on their shoulders. The lack of forward momentum, in my opinion, did hurt this film and kept it from being a great film, in my opinion. There was kind of this really high expectation going into it. Everyone was saying this is going to be a spectacular film. I'm not sure I felt it was up to those expectations, but it was certainly a fine film, and the actors certainly deserve their credit.
Forget everything else and just say it to me.
My name is Josh Lippman.
And I'm Rebecca French, and we're here from Wheat Films reviewing The King's Speech.